Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
What is the difference between Nigeria and Nigerians?
It's very, very clear, understand now. Nigeria is the geographical location of Nigerians. While Nigerians are the habitat of Nigeria. Nigeria is a blessing to Nigerians. While Nigeria is a problem to Nigeria. Nigeria is 63 years old. While Nigerians are still crawling.
They have failed!
Do you know that Nigeria is rich, but Nigerians are poor? Nigeria is blessed with oil, but Nigerians are suffering because of oil. Nigeria is free of its colonial masters, but Nigerians are running to the land of their colonial master for survival. Nigeria have leaders, but Nigerians lack leaders. Nigeria have a great future, but Nigerians are so myopic to picture the future. Nigeria is blessed with mineral, but Nigerians are suffering from political diabetes. My brother, do you know that as I speak to you now, the person that sang the land is green is no longer in the land? She's in another land looking for greener pastures. They told us that education is the key. But do you know that yesterday I see my classmates for international airport, they said padlock? This is a country where every man wants to trample on another man to be elevated. A country where professors are made professors just to announce the result when it should want to enter office. As I speak to you now, do you know that the salary of an average policeman is 50 liters of fuel? From here to Shokotendo, that be the salary. My brother, do you also know that the salary of a soldier man is not enough for him to go and see his family to and fro? As I speak to you now, our scholars are flying out, our engineers are flying out, our doctors are flying out, our professors are flying out, our graduates are flying out, and still the economy of this country is yet to take off. As I speak to you now, 3 sets of people are left in this country. Those who are running, those who are running for election, and those who hit the ground running. Do you know that we are no longer a country? We are now a group of people waiting for their visa to come out.
So you mean this full Nigeria now embassy?
Yes, those who remain and those who they deny.
Get out of here.
My brother, Nigeria is blessed, but Nigerians are wicked. Every man is waiting for the next man to fail, and yet you want the country to succeed. Wickedness, bitterness, self-entitlement, immediate gratification is the fastest mobilization to corruption. You don't need transport.
I want to harvest you.
Do you know that in our country today, if you want to be a sinner, you go to the church. If you want to die, you run to the hospital. If you want to be corrupt, you go to court. If you want to be unemployed, you go to school. If you want to steal, you contest for election. Doing evil is not the new good, and doing good is not the new evil. Shall we continue to do evil that grace may abide? God forbid.
Who cares? This is Nigeria, not America.
This is the only country where our parliamentarians and lawmakers we gather together with big agbada just to shout the eyes have it, and yet the masses will never see it or get it. In those days, God will send his prophet to go and warn and advise kings and leaders. But in our time, our leaders are the ones advising our prophets from spiritual pulpit to political pulpit. But the matter of them all and the general overseer of them all is our corrupt leaders. There is a difference between a public servant and a public master. When a public servant becomes a public master, then absolute power corrupt absolutely. Do you know that before this country was created, corruption was created, and on the altar of corruption was this country created? Our colonial master were smart enough to have left us in a humpity-dumpity situation. But today, it's still a big shock today that we are still striving. We are even 63 years old. Going to 64. It was because of this colonial corruption that a great man called Herbert Macaulay led the first protest in this country, and over time the gathering of this comrades was given a name called NYM, the Nigeria Youth Movement of 1934. And later, Herbert Macaulay and a few others formed the National Council of Nigeria and Cameroon, NCNC, having Herbert Macaulay as the president and Nnamdi Azikiwe as the secretary. Then the NYM now become AG, the Ashok group led by Awolowo, the famous cocoa farmer. And the struggles of this group led to the manifestation of the Richard Constitution of 1945 to 1954 that gave birth to Nigeria's into 3 majorities: the northern, the western, and the southern protectorate. And so we had the NPC, the Northern People's Congress, led by Sir Ahmadu Bello for the north, and then we had the AG, the Ashok group, led by Awolowo for the west, and then we had the NCNC, the National Council for Nigeria and Cameroon, led by Nnamdi Azikiwe for the east. And this gave rise to the John McPherson Constitution that introduced the general election. And later, we had the Little Constitution of 1954 that led to centralizing the government and making Nigeria a federal system of government. The first election was conducted in 1959. We had the NPC and the NCNC coalition automatically made AG, the Ashok group, a major opposition party. Because of the coalition, they won. And this gave birth to Sir Zamfara Baliwa as the prime minister, still under the tutelage of the queen, and Nnamdi Azikiwe as the governor general because of the NPC and the NCNC coalition. You see,
Wait, may I go wash my eyes?
my brother, this did not end well because the NPC later hijacked the government from the NCNC, which means there was crisis between the NPC and the NCNC as leaders of one government. And on the other hand, there was crisis in the AG, the action group between Akintola and Awolowo. So the prime minister then, Tafawa Balewa, declared a 6-month state of emergency in the West, and later it got to the imprisonment of Awolowo and Enahoro and few others, which means there was crisis all over the country as planned by the colonial masters.
You get it?
So now, my brother, you can see that in this country, before Nigeria was bettered, corruption was bettered. All this and many more, they don't want you to know, and then they scrap history from our curriculum so that you will not know the root of your problem.
If you don't get it, forget about it.
My brother, we were born and raised in corruption. What we need in this country is a political messiah, and then every messiah must have believers, which is the people. If you have this generation and you think you have seen corruption, that means you have not read or listened to the story of the flamboyant Okotiebu. So my fellow Nigerians, it is the people that will define themselves for themselves so that they will not be swallowed down by political fantasies. It is time for you to know that you are the change you seek. It is time for us to quit the game blame and be the change. It starts for me and you. My brother, according to Joseph de Maistre, and I quote, every country has the government it deserves. So corrupt leaders is the government of them all. Corrupt leaders is the general overseer of them all. Corrupt leader does not live abroad. He lives in greed, wickedness, self-entitlement, and immediate gratification. Thank you.
Thank you.
You don't kill this man with grammar.
Now, if ever there was a famous, much admired political and civil rights activist in Nigeria, it would have to be Aisha Yusufu, the people's activist, as someone once called her, a woman of extraordinary courage who for years has openly challenged what she sees as the repressive rule of successive governments in this country. But the ability of her activism to withstand official pressure has been sorely tested by her many run-ins with the security services and the political establishment. Through it all, though, she's emerged undaunted and untoppled. And last year, she became an influential figure in the Labour Party's Obi Dati presidential campaign, pitching her considerable oratorical and activist skills behind their attempt to win the keys to the Aso Rock presidential villa. But after what the opposition claimed was ruling party skullduggery, they were left to face up to the agony of electoral defeat. Today, Aisha Yusufu is pressing ahead with her push for good governance and her untiring efforts to erase Nigeria's afflictions of human rights abuse, corruption, and prolonged economic chaos. She has a massive following online, through which she connects with her more than 2 million active supporters and followers. It's clear she's not going anywhere. But after so many years in the trenches, how confident is she that her activism can help deliver real change in Nigeria?
What's your credit card debt balance? If it's $10,000 or more, here are 3 easy solutions.
Well, for more on all that, I'm suitably delighted to say that I'm joined now in the studio by one of Nigeria's best-known political campaigners and civil rights activist, Aisha Yusufu. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I hope you don't mind my saying it, but I was observing at the outset that you lost a bit of weight.
Oh, yeah.
Was that on purpose?
Yeah, it's on purpose. I'm 50 now. And I want to be 18, and I want my husband to remember the baby he got married to.
Well, I have to say you're looking very good.
Thank you.
And you, of course, emerged from that disappointing defeat of the Labour Party in the 2023 election. And since that time, you've had to contend with the fact that the ruling APC party and President Bola Tinubu are the de facto and de jure rulers of Nigeria. What impact has that had on you?
So for me, the 2023 election, there was no defeat. The Nigerian people won. And we know that Mr. Peter Obi won the presidential election, Labour Party won it. And for me, it's something of a beauty to see Nigerians who hitherto didn't bother about politics all of a sudden were interested and invested. And they were able to actually unmask what politicking is all about in Nigeria. That it's not rocket science, it's not what we thought it was, where people were afraid of politics and thought there was some kind of what did they call it now, some kind of skills or whatever that those old politicians have, that they don't really have anything, and if people come together they can do the needful. So for me, that 2023, there was so much that was achieved.
And you are, of course, a well-respected activist, as well as a social media icon, and if you don't mind my saying so, an internet celebrity who creates and sets trends with your pioneering and inspiring sort of thoughts. In other words, an influencer. How useful has that power to express your thoughts and be listened to been in your activism?
Well, it helps when people are able to hear you and believe in what you're saying. I think it comes up out of being truthful, just saying things the way they are, and not, oh, will people like you or not like you? Yeah, so it's been instrumental in getting my voices out there, and sometimes in shaping narratives and making people to look at certain issues the way they haven't looked at it before. But also, in a way, it's also limiting in the sense that you actually get a voice for the people, but you lose your voice for yourself. So there are certain things that ordinary, if it was before, I wouldn't take it. But now I'm like, okay, since it's against me, yeah, so you just have to now just, okay, not make a scene out of it or anything. But for me, the worst part of it all is the fact that I've lost my anonymity. I used to love it when I would go out and people see me in a job and actually look meek. I have a meek appearance. So people are like, okay, this one, can she even speak English? And then when I start something, like, oh, who is that? But I don't have that. Now, before you even get there, you don't even know the person, but the person knows you. And somehow, for me, that loss of anonymity, just being in a place when nobody knows you're there, just do your thing and just walk away. I've lost that, and it's not a good thing for me all the time. Yeah.
And that's the price you've had to pay for your forthrightness and your activism. But in that regard, how do you keep your morale up? Because, I mean, when you become the voice of the people and you become the focus of the forces that are trying to suppress the voice of the people, I mean, that must be quite uncomfortable. How do you keep your morale up? How do you put on a bright face against the backdrop of the darkness that you have vowed to fight against?
So for me, the first thing that I do is that I ensure that my inside match my outside. So if I'm happy, you're going to see me happy. If I'm sad, I'm going to be sad. If there's something that make me cry now, I'm going to cry. So I don't try to hide, hide my emotions and all of that. And one thing also I do know is the fact that integrity is very expensive. Having character, it's extremely expensive in Nigeria. And so I always ensure that I hold myself to higher standards than I hold other people. So before I'm saying, oh, you should do this, I should do that or something, my words mean a lot to me. Like for me, my words are my bond. If I say something, no matter how difficult it's going to be for me, I have to keep to the things that I've said. But most importantly, I don't know how to say this, but most importantly, it's being contented. For me, like I always say it, I think a few days ago, I was saying it to someone. I said, look, if something is above my means, above my husband's means, I don't want it. And I'm not going to go to anybody's office. I said, look, I can be on the streets of Nigeria today if conditions warrant it, and I will be hawking pure water. I would not feel an iota of shame because I'm doing an honest job. But I would never, ever go to anybody's office where I'm looking for contract, or I'm looking for job, or I'm looking for appointment, or I'm helping somebody look for appointment. And I get a lot of people who come to me who feel, oh, but you're popular, but you could go and meet and ask for this thing or that. And I'm like, no, I don't do that. That's the reason why I have a mouth. That's the reason why I can call out anybody that has done something when I want to call them out, because I'm not feeling that, oh, I will need something from them, or I've already taken something from them. So it's sometimes it's difficult in terms of the fact that even like your businesses, there's certain laws that you get. Like my husband is a chartered accountant. He has an accounting firm. He's a partner there. Sometimes there are certain, because of me, there are certain things that the firm has to, lose and stuff like that because of my stance and something like that. But hey, I married a great guy and he's always supportive. And like in this word, he always says, whatever will make you happy. So no matter the loss and everything, he's ready to be there with me and for me to do the things that I'm doing. So my home support is amazing. My kids, my husband, family, great.
Well, that's good to hear. But beyond that sort of home support that you talk about, would you say that today the political landscape in Nigeria is much darker and much bleaker from the point of view of your political activism as an opponent of President Tinubu and the APC? After all, the APC was re-elected and its power looks more entrenched than ever. And the Labour Party that you supported seems to be imploding.
So first of all, for me, APC was not elected. APC, they rigged their way into office. That's my own opinion. Aisha Isufu, that's my name. And I'm not putting water in my mouth when I say it. So that's on one part. In terms of the political space, it's not bleak. It's extremely bright. Governance, yes, it's bleak. It's been bleak for like over 8 years. We've been there over the time, like over a decade. And that's why we got to where we are today. But I can tell you something. In 2018, I think 2017, 2018, it took a lot to even tell Nigerians, we were doing the red card movement. And we were saying to Nigerians, look, there can be an option outside of APC and PDP, outside of the two main two main parties. And many people didn't believe. Many people, people thought we were crazy. We were going all around the country, speaking about this thing. Today, people have seen that it's not only an option, but it's doable and it can be done. And for me, that's a huge thing. In nation building it's very slow. So it's not something that, you expect that, yes, you do this and then you get in there and that's it. No, it's very slow. I mean, there are a lot of setbacks. So as far as one must do, and this is something that I constantly do, is that you must continuously look at the little wins and take them. If I look at where we used to be, where young people didn't bother about politics, where a lot of citizens weren't bothered, people didn't even understand the relationship between governance and their lives. And I look at them like, politically, yes, we've gone a long way. But in terms of governance, of course, it's bleak. Because it has been there for over a decade, even when we're on the streets. Those are part of the things. Governance had gone, haywire. And today where we are, there's no government in Nigeria. That's one thing. There's no government. We're just on autopilot. We're just free-flowing. Yes, there's someone who claims he's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There's someone, but people are not feeling the impact of governance. It's not about you carrying the key, getting yourself sworn in and being at Aso Villa and have been able to appoint ABCD. It's about what positive impact have you made in people's lives. If you've not made any positive impact in people's lives, come on, you can, how do they put it? It could be like paracetamol, but no fit be paracetamol. I forgot the other name, I no one do advert for somebody.
But given all that, I mean, do you feel, given what you just said, do you feel lost in terms of what's next for you politically?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm not lost. I know what for me, it's the next step. See, I am one person who, before I do something, I really think about it and I look at all the commitment that it's needed. And when I commit to something, I go on. I never, even as a child, even as a young person, I never focus on the result. What I focus on is on my effort. What am I doing? Yes, the result might have gone not the way that it was supposed to be, not the way, but what am I doing? That's what is most important for me. And so that's what I'm still focusing on. Today, I believe that we need to have a lot of people in politics. This whole issue where people sit back and say that, they're not doing politics, they don't want to do politics, it hasn't served Nigeria in any way. Nature abhors vacuum. And if you allow, if there's a vacuum, charlatans will go in there, they will occupy the space. First of all, we need people with second jobs in politics. Politics should not be people's primary jobs. That's one of the problems that we have here. We need people with competence, character, capacity running for offices. We need people being part of politics. And even if you're not running for office, you could be a party member, you could be one of the delegates, you could be someone who's going to be a party agent. There are so many things that you could do within that political space. And so it's very important for us to begin to do that. The legislative arm of government, I keep saying it, is the bedrock of democracy. The legislative arm of government is more powerful than the executive. The only thing is that the executive controls the pulse of the nation. So what are we doing to send people to the legislative arm of government? Today, election in Nigeria is very expensive. It's not about whether bribing or doing anything. Just doing the normal things you're supposed to do. Election is quite expensive, and not a lot of people have that money. Even if they have that money, you can't expect someone to bring their own personal money and use it to run for office. Then it's no longer politics, it's now business. When they get in there, they're going to get their monies back, and they're also going to get monies that they will use for the next election. So we as a people, we must put our monies where our votes are. We must begin to say to ourselves, what are we going to do? I've said this before. If 1 million Nigerians decide to give 1,000 naira every month, put it together in a common purse, we will have 1 billion naira every month. 12 months, in a year, that will be 12 billion. In 4 years, that will be 48 billion. 48 billion can help in putting the money needed for election to be able to send a substantial amount of people to the National Assembly and the state houses of assembly. These are the people that will make the laws. They make laws, they have oversight function, they ratify treaties. Even when there's appointment, they confirm appointments so that they will make laws that are pro-people, not laws that are just, for regime protection.
That's a very interesting idea. And are you still an active member of the Labour Party?
I've never been a member of the Labour Party. So I am a supporter of Mr. Peter Obi, and there are candidates of that have come out.
So you had nothing really to do with the Labour Party? I mean,
well, I've supported some of their candidates, but I've never been a member. Up to now, I've not yet been a member of a party, but anytime that I am, definitely to be made public. It's part of the things that I also need to do, and a lot of Nigerians need to do, because at the end of the day, the parties, there are no internal democracies in these parties, and these parties are the ones that give us the people that will govern us. We need to have people in the parties, all the parties that are out there, whether there are new ones or whatever. We need to have people that would ensure that the best are the ones that are fielded, not the worst.
You were willing to work within the machinery of the Labour Party because Peter Obi was the presidential candidate, so you couldn't have supported him in isolation from the Labour Party.
So when you say I don't know whether it's really within the machinery, because I was his supporter. I worked with him. So I wasn't really in the machinery of but of course, because Peter Obi was running under Labour, yes, I did support Labour and other candidates whom I felt, their competence, they had the competence, character, capacity to lead. Like even the 2023 election, I remember in Enugu State, I supported Frank Weke Jr., who was running under ABGA. For me, it's always been, I've always said it, I think in the last 5, 6, 7 years, I've always said that it's more about candidates rather than the parties. Because at the end of the day, we need people that will really go in there and work. But what we've seen is that there's no incentive for the parties that we have right now for them to give us credible candidates. They would rather bring in candidates that they can control, candidates that they know corruption would be nothing to them. They'll be ready to partake in those with integrity, those that will not partake in the corruption and all of that. They usually don't bring them. And the way it is, because of the rigging that normally would happen, they just feel that the people are powerless. Initially, we used to have citizens not bothered about the election. They don't come out to vote. Of course, when citizens don't come out to vote, it makes it easy for them, to just declare the people that vote them. They get declared as winners. But now that citizens are coming out and they are coming out with rigging, we as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria need to find a way to mitigate the rigging, to mitigate the violence, and ensure that the will of the people is what counts. It doesn't matter who the people vote for. It's democracy. Just allow the will. If the people decide that they're going to vote a stone, so be it. Let the stone be the person in charge.
But I'm wondering who you blame for the crisis that's engulfed the Labour Party today, because obviously by extension, you had affiliations with the party, because someone has suggested that it is as a result of, or some people have suggested that it's as a result of infiltration from the ruling APC party. Others have suggested that without the active leadership of P2B and the support of the likes of you, being in the Labour Party is like swimming in a river full of hungry crocodiles who call themselves politicians. I mean, I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Well, for me, so I'm trying to look at it and look at where it's all of that coming from. It's when they say infiltration, I mean, that's normal. Everybody infiltrates. It's part. You send some people who are loyal to you to certain parties or whatever.
To disrupt things.
Well, whether to disrupt or to know, to have an ear on the ground and know what is happening and be able to spy on the other one. Sometimes these are some of the things, that happen. So that should not be a reason why anybody should say that that's why, whether there are crises or no crisis. But I think, and also when we look at people who always say Mr. Peter Obi should have taken charge of the party and done all of that. Do we really want democracy? If we want democracy, democracy have to start from parties, internal party democracy. What we are used to in Nigeria is the fact that there's one person who controls the machinery of the party. So hijacks the party, owns it, puts all the money out there, makes all the decision. And that was what, people are also expecting of Mr. Peter Obi. I was also on his case. And I was like, repeatedly, I kept saying, no, you need to. Then, it dawned on me. And when we kept having our conversation, I'm like, okay, we're doing the same thing where we want a dictator to be in charge of the party and hold the party and make them by force be online rather than allowing democracy to happen. The thing is that Mr. Peter Obi is a member, he's a card-carrying member of Labour Party. He's not a member of the NWC. He's not a party official. So he's really just one person amongst other people there. So expecting that, he is the one, expecting him to come and do that is the same kind of politics. Then by the time he gets there, just like we've seen in other places where one person will be the one to buy form for everybody, campaign, put whoever it is that he wants there and say, people should vote for that person. I mean, that's not what we are looking for. So hopefully this is like a storming situation for Labour Party. Labour Party should understand that they were nowhere before Peter Obi came to the party and before Nigerians decided to support the party and Mr. Peter Obi. If they begin to feel like they want to chill with the big boys, you understand, they want to bam. In no time, they will start running kitty, they will start running kata. So it's better for them to understand that, citizens want democracy. No, they just don't want to be affiliated to parties and just continue business as usual. They want to see a difference. And it is time for them also to begin to give that difference in terms of right from leadership, in terms of internal democracy, in terms of opening up and getting people. I mean, by now, the Labour Party should have at least nothing less than 15 million members. What's happening?
They could have built on the
built on it. Instead of them thinking, they shouldn't think small. They should think big. They shouldn't think, what is it? Something like territory protection and all of that. That's not what it is about. It's about the bigger picture. It's about what is best for Nigeria. It's about who are the best hands that will do the work that needs to be done.
Right. But beyond the Labour Party in particular, do you think that opposition politicians in general are right now failing the people of Nigeria who face so many economic and social problems?
They've been failing since 1900. There hasn't been any opposition in Nigeria since 2015. And even up to now, there's no opposition.
Yeah, but Peter Obi is part of that opposition.
Yes. No, the party isn't doing anything. The party that Mr. Peter Obi is part of, he's really not playing opposition. It's just there. I don't know what they're doing. But Mr. Peter Obi himself, he is playing the opposition. So He's literally almost as if he's that lone voice who is, playing that opposition within the political space. But the party that he belongs to, no, they haven't played opposition at all. They failed Nigerians, absolutely. And it was the fact that opposition had failed Nigeria. That was why Nigerians were looking for an alternative. And they went on with Labour Party. And Nigerians expecting
that Labour Party failed them as well. well.
No, they have failed. There's no two ways about it. We can't see red and call it black. They have failed. They haven't done what that was expected of them. There is more that they can do, because right now, with the suffering that is happening, with the fact that insecurity, people are being killed left, right, and center. Nothing, not a word, nothing. People are suffering. People can't feed themselves. Is it yesterday there was a report? Amnesty International has a report of a young man. I can't remember which of the states, whether it's Borno or something, who stole some noodle, and then police, he was arrested, police beat him to death, and he died in the hospital and all of that. People are hungry, people are going through so much. Where is the opposition? They're supposed to be the voices of the people. One of the things I always say to people is that, because I see a lot of people like, oh, Aisha, you used to do advocacy, why are you doing politics? I say advocacy, activism, and politics are the same thing. They are supposed to be for the greater good. The only difference is the approach. Where the advocates and activists will point out what the problems are, the politicians are supposed to solve those problems. So right now, the opposition, they have failed. They're just waiting for the years to roll by, and then in the next 4 years, they will now start, or is it 3 years now? They will now start telling citizens to come out and vote for them. It's not just about democracy is not just about electioneering. It's about dividends of democracy and ensuring that the lives of the people are better. Right now, where are the policies? We have policies that are crazy. I mean, Naira went from where to where to where. And I remember people insulting me, abusing me because I said, hold your dollars, closer. Right now, even at the moment, at the time where they brought in their kangaroo, policies and decided that they were going to force the Naira the Naira to be strong. What happened? You cannot govern with propaganda. That is not it. And some of the questions that I ask people, I say, look, okay, fine, the Naira, it was almost 2,000, Naira to $1. It's coming down now. What is it that was done? Is it that Nigeria has stopped importing crude petroleum products? Is it that we are now exporting more crude oil? Is it that we are now manufacturing more things and selling? Is it that our politicians are no longer going outside to go and buy vehicles and all of that? I can't remember. There's a particular, I think it's customs, that it was reported that they're going to use how many billions to go and buy vehicles, Toyota vehicles.
Well, let me just
Meanwhile, we're here.
Let me ask you to hold that thought, because we're going to come back to you in a minute. You're watching Arise Prime Time. Plenty more to come. We're talking to Nigeria's best-known political campaigner and civil rights activist, Aisha Yusufu. Stay with us. Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Aniegolu. She's arguably Nigeria's best-known, most high-profile female civil rights activist who transitioned between taking to the streets as an advocate for the Bring Back Our Girls campaign and against villainous government policies she disagrees with, to being an active political campaigner during the 2023 presidential election in this country, an election she believes was manipulated by the government machinery that oversaw the ballot. But undaunted by the way Nigeria's version of realpolitik crushed that moment of political idealism, Aisha Yusufu has remained steadfast in her attempts to prevent the worst of state-sponsored crimes. And Aisha is still with me in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. And just continuing along the trajectory that we were on before we took a break, do you see there's a lot of talk about mega mergers and political parties coming together. Do you see the opposition parties working together to create a new political movement that can take on the APC in 2027?
Well, honestly, to be, in my candid opinion, I really don't know. I really don't. It could go either way. They could decide that they're going to work together. But for me, the thing is that it's not really just about having a merger. So I was one person who in 2015 knew the government, the then government had failed and there needed to be a change. And I felt, and I remember a lot of my tweets, I mean, they're still out there for anyone to search, where I kept saying that, look, Nigerians, we are the ones that have to ensure that we are holding these politicians accountable. Bring in anyone. If they don't do well, vote them out. But unfortunately, Nigerians voted and then went back to go and sleep. And because one of the things that we fail to do a lot of times is to hold people in offices accountable. The demand side of government, as citizens, we've not been able to do that a lot. So it's left to a few people. And I always say that Nigeria needs more active citizens and not more activists. Everybody has to, do that demand side of government. So if it's not about they coming together to just win elections, first of all, they need to reform. I've not seen any of these parties doing that. They need to rejig their party machinery, their internal democracy.
But if Peter Obi became the candidate for that party, would you support it?
For me, I will support Mr. Peter Obi as a person. That's why for me, it's the candidate I'm supporting. It doesn't matter whatever party, whatever it is that he goes into. But one thing that Aisha Yusufu will not support is where if Peter Obi becomes a running mate to anybody. Nah, I'm not on that ticket. Right. I wouldn't be on that. So that's why we don't have party. There are no parties with ideologies that you say, if this party is voted in, you'll be sure that the people who come within that party have to toe a certain line, and there are certain things that they're going to do. We don't have that yet. So it's basically individuals. And so you look around and say, okay, who is this person? For me, it's about the candidates and rather not about the party. But if they were to work on, if you were to see something like, even from their constitution, begin to work on it, ensure that you have a situation. For example, I hear that thing called women leader and youth leader. What does it mean? You're telling me that by giving them youth leader, women leader, you've cut them out of everything. Instead of having youth leader, women leader, why don't you have a constitution? Parties that have constitution that say one gender cannot have more than 60% of positions. So you have, if it's female-led, can have more than 60% or 40%, and likewise when it comes to youth and the older generation. In this way, everybody is welcome to this thing. There's there's equity, and people I'm looking for the word now. It's gone off. But people are welcome there, and they can all work together. We haven't seen that. We've not seen situations whereby party tickets. How much is it? Why are you selling party tickets for millions? I can't remember which state now. They're going to do a local government election, and the chairman is supposed to pay nomination and expression of interest, everything 25 million naira. Somebody who buys tickets for 25 million naira. Puts in all the expenses to get to win. There's no way he's going to give you good governance. It's a business. He's going to go there first and recoup that money and recoup what he will use for the next election. So which of these parties are giving enabling environment for people who have what it takes to lead, who have competence, character, capacity, who have the experience, but not necessarily have the money that will be able to run under those parties? So these are the fundamental things that really need to be spoken about, not just a matter of, let's come together and then be able to just win election. There's something I just want to quickly say. And I think was it about after the 2023 election, I was asked that question, and someone said, "Oh, Aisha, are you going to be on the streets making the mass?" I'm like, who am I going to be on the streets with? There's no government. So Mua, Aisha is, because when you're on the streets and making demand, because I think you mentioned that quite a while. When you're on the streets,
going to be my next question.
Oh, okay. So you have taken it out of your mouth. When you're on the streets and making demand, that means you believe in government. You believe in the person who is leading the government. Well, who is leading what government? So I will not be on the street and be making demands on who?
Yeah, but nevertheless,
I'm not going. Absolutely not going to.
Nevertheless, beyond the streets, I mean, I noticed that you've been using online activism to push for good governance. So, in a sense, you are still campaigning. I mean, but is social media the new way to protest against misrule, or is that just one of the ways for you?
It's always been one of the ways. I've always used social media. I remember, was it 2017, 2018, I used to have a program called Let's Talk Nigeria People. Because for me, one of the things that we sort of like overlook is that we think everybody knows what's happening. People can connect relationship between governance and their lives or politics and their lives. There are many dots that a lot of people don't know how to connect. And so it helps. And that's why I used to say that, look, the education that we have, it's not for us alone. It's for millions of others who didn't have the opportunity to be educated or who don't know as much. And so we should teach and also be, willing to learn. So I've always used that. So for me, issues that are wrong, issues that I will talk about them. I will speak on them, no matter what it is. I know they've called for my arrest many times. I'm like, me, if you arrest me, you're even doing me a favor, because my heart will not be beating when I'm sleeping in our house. Because even right here in Abuja, they come into houses and kidnap people. So I will have a lot of this thing, guarding me. People that have been arrested in prison are actually safer than those of us that are outside.
Right.
So, but the main thing for me is that making direct demand on someone who rigged his way into office. Aisha Yusufu. Nah, I don't waste my time.
Well, on that note, first of all, let me just say I hope you don't get arrested, because I think there'll be a lot of very angry people if that happens. But I want to thank you very much indeed for taking the time to come in to talk to us. Aisha Yusufu is one of Nigeria's best-known political campaigners and civil rights activists. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, Charles. Always a pleasure.
Hey, my people, greetings everyone, greetings to you. Happy Friday to everybody. I hope you're doing good. I hope everybody is doing good and having and preparing for a very wonderful Friday. Thank you for joining me. I know this was not scheduled, but I just wanted to quickly bring it here and talk about, a little bit about what's going on. I'm sure that you guys are aware that this Bala Blue administration has given 90 million subsidized Hajj pilgrimage. Oh my God. I have to laugh because to keep from crying, I have to laugh. In a country where people are homeless, are you guys aware that Nigeria has overtaken India in homelessness? Do you know what that means? That there are more Nigerians that are homeless than those in India. Do you know what that means? My people. So Nigerians are homeless in their own country. I don't know whether they're counting the people in IDP camps. I'm assuming they are. There are more people that are homeless in their own country. Hey God. If Nigerians don't rise up, oh my God. This administration does not mean well at all. 90 million for Hajj pilgrimage. Meanwhile, there are people that are hungry. Did they not you heard when Aisha just talked about the young man that stole noodles and they unalived him because of noodles that he stole. Meanwhile, you have people that are stealing billions, trillions. Did you hear that man is, whatever his name is, I don't know, he's a senator who said that he will approve, I think, the death penalty for politicians who steal trillions and not billions and millions because they steal it for the people. Did you hear that? Nigerians are the problems. We are the problem of ourselves. I'm sorry. Until everybody takes personal accountability, we're on a long thing. We are on a long thing. Until we start feeling like, oh, it's my tribe, or it's my person, it's my brother, it's my whatever, we're on a long thing. And by the way, division is not going to solve it. It will not solve one thing. It will even heighten and make it worse. My opinion. Hey, my opinion. You can leave your own opinion in the comment section. You can leave your thoughts in the comment section. But it is really, really sad that we have gotten to this place in Nigeria, and it has not ended though. There's more to come. There is more to come. Now they've opened the portal for student loans. I'm wondering which student wants to go and take loan from this predatory government that will squeeze people. Are no jobs. You are running down businesses. People don't have any structures to even say, okay, let them even do the business to get the money to be paying taxes. Nothing is on ground. Nothing. Not a thing. But they are milking people. They're squeezing every last drop from the people. And Nigerians are folding their hands and watching. Concern them. Your artists, your Nollywood actors and actresses don't give a damn because they're living the life. They're enjoying themselves. They don't care about you. Your so-called billionaires and elites, they don't care because they can leave that country in a minute. They have private helicopters. They don't give a damn. It's not their problem. Your military, your police, everyone, all the forces, Navy, and everything. Nobody is doing anything. Nothing. Not a damn thing, Nigerians. This is what will continue to happen, unfortunately, until Nigerians get sense. Let me play this video as the last one and I'm out of here. I just wanted to bring this here because it's really sad. It really is sad. Every day I'm like, what I cannot do without not worrying or concerned about the people who are naive, don't know what's happening. Eh?
Tsara su ne domin mutane sannan hatta na shi shugabancin.
Barka da dawowa. Tambaya ta ƙarshe. Ta yaya za a ka jawo hankulan wasu mutane domin su shigo jam'iyyarka ko su mara wa ɗan siyasar ka baya? Amerika.
Akwai hanyoyi da dama, amma babban abu shine mu tabbatar mun jaddada akidar mutane sun san me muka tsaya a kai da kuma yadda muke amfani da wannan akidar wajen tafiyar da gwamnati da zayyana manufofi da kuma irin tasirin haka ga rayuwar jama'a.
China.
Mutane ya zama komai saboda mutane ake yin shi. Dukkan manufofi an tsara su ne domin mutane sannan hatta na shi shugabancin ya zama mutane su suka kai yara makarantun da za a tayar da su a matsayin shugaba tun mutum yana yaro zai san cewa shi shugaba ne sannan kuma a ringa koya mishi irin ɗabi'u da abubuwa na shugabanni da yan sun girma su yi sauƙin shiga harka ta shugabanci sannan su kawo jama'a ci gaba.
Najeriya.
Waɗannan duka banzaye ne. Ansa shine zagi da cin mutunci da tsangwama da tsana. Kawai mutumin zagin iyaye da kakanni lissafo 'yan kabilarsu da 'yan garinsu da tunanin shi ka ce kira shi da kiki ka kira shi bawa ka mishi cin mutunci na kare dangi wannan shi yasa ya je na sha'awar jam'iyyarka kuma jama'a wasu su masu gani haske suna son jam'iyyarka su shigo suna ai wannan tafiya tare a cikin samun ci gaba kamar yadda muke samu a Najeriya.
Yau wato wanda ansa shi take daidai kuma shine ya lashe babbar kyauta a wannan gasa shine Najeriya.
Jira. Kamar ya?
A Najeriya kake ban san hauka. Ku da yadda kuke yin abu a ƙasar ku, mu kuma da yadda muke abu a ƙasar mu. Shi yasa gashi nan ku duk rashin ci gaba da talauci da tashin hankali ya ishe ku. Muku a kun gani gashi komai na aiki a nan. Saboda haka sai ku tarkata ku koma ƙasashen ku, ku je ku ci gaba da wannan shirman da kuke kira demokradiyya. Ban san kowa ya koya muku siyasa ba, amma abin da kuke yi ba siyasa bane hauka ne. Saboda haka zamu karkare shi yanzu duk da cewa lokaci bai ba, generator ne mai zai kare mishi.
Well, greetings. So, One Nigeria, Haley's right back at you. Thank you for stopping by. I'll end it here for now. My day is looking really busy. I might not be able to come back later on today. However, tomorrow I'm going to schedule an early one so we can discuss the issues going forward. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, share on your way out, and I appreciate the support. Thank you and have a great Friday.